special good morning to our listeners and viewers to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Good morning and welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Thursday, the 10th day of August. Also, let me say good morning to our viewers via GBN TV, whether you're viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channels 20. Good morning to you. Welcome. What about our social media audience? Those of you via the Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning and welcome. It's Thursday, as I mentioned before, and usually on Thursday, we host various departments within the Royal Grenada Police Force, and today we have the Central Division with us this morning, and our conversation today will be on the traffic arrangements, the upcoming finals of the various events that are coming up and so forth. A conversation in between we will have, and this morning I do have with me Corporal Troy Paul. Good morning to you, Corporal Paul. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am blessed and highly favored.
And I think it's the first time I'm having him on the show. We have ASP Kenneth Bascombe. Good morning to you, sir. Welcome.
Good morning to you, sir. It's a blessing to be with you and your viewing and listening audience.
All right. Well, welcome. So we get the ball rolling. I usually, of course, kind of switch it these days, but I just like to ask, the officers for any opening comment that they may have before we get into the meat of the conversation this morning. Any opening comments from anyone this morning? ASP?
Well, just to say, we are into what I would call the back end of Carnival 2023. Mm-hmm. Right? It is Grenada's premier festival on the yearly calendar. It brings millions of dollars to the Grenadian economy. So I think it's all of us business, just like we say it's everybody's business, tourism.
Yes.
It is in our best interest to make sure that we do our part to ensure that the activity is safe, because not only Grenadians enjoy the carnival, right? Regionally and international, there is a lot of interest. And so if we marry it with criminal activities, then that visitor might just change their mind about coming to Grenada. So let us get that in mind as the celebration takes place.
Certainly happy for those encouraging words say, because you don't want someone having that bad experience visiting Grenada for any reason at all. Not only for the carnival activities, but for any time during the year someone decides to make a visit to the island and an incident occurs. It's always a way of deterring them in terms of wanting to come back themselves and encouraging others to want to come back to the island. That could be definitely discouraging. Yes, Corporal, how are you doing this morning again? I know I like to put you in the spot sometimes, Any opening comments for us this morning?
Yes, my responsibility this morning, mainly traffic arrangement for the Carnival's period, and we know that there will be some delay in traffic at times, and a little discomfort in terms of persons having to go travel longer routes to get to their destination, especially during the Carnival Monday and Tuesday period. And this morning we will disseminate information that will have a little easement in terms of persons knowing what they should and where they should drive during those periods. And coming out from this morning's program, they will definitely know what will happen, and they can share that information with others to make the journey safe and one that will be less in terms of having to understand what and where they should go.
All right. I want to kick off the conversation this morning. We're going to talk about the traffic arrangements. We're going to talk about the security, the traffic and security arrangements. I want us to put a little bit of emphasis on this first segment before a break. Let's talk about individuals' personal security issues that especially at the finals and stuff coming up. There's always the issue of your personal safety. You understand? And what are some of the advice you would like to throw out, or information you would like to share, especially with our viewing and listening audience this morning, when it comes to individuals' personal safety, and what issues may arrive if you don't, put a lot of attention into, the safety part of it?
Well, certainly. As you said, safety is paramount, yes. Right? And even as law enforcement, we always impress upon, especially when we're training new recruits, and so you cannot protect anyone unless you are first safe and secure.
Yes.
Right? So safety, first and foremost, is a personality. And so for the carnival season, we want to advise persons, and I will start especially with our females. Avoid at all costs, once once you are able to do so, what we call solo travel. because for some reason it might be easier for an assailant to should I say, pick on a pounce on a female, a lone female, as opposed to a group.
Yes.
I would say, so for example, if you are traveling in groups, then you stand a fighting chance. So I would advise you, especially the females, as I say, travel in groups as much as possible. We also want to advise about responsible drinking, because I think we all understand that drinking affects your decision-making ability.
Yeah.
So you might just consume too much beers tonight as a female, again, I'm not picking on the female, but just using an example. You consume too much beers tonight and you end up with an unwanted pregnancy tomorrow, please God. So drink responsibly. We want to advise again, it's the flashy objects, the expensive flashy jewelry and so, especially in those shows. Yes, we know we want to dress up, look your best, but it might just be attractive to the wrong set of people.
Yes.
So you're going to the Soca Monarch, and so leave the expensive jewelry at home. We also want to advise again persons, and especially those who might not have been home for a long time, and if you're a visitor for the first time, to know the surroundings, and if possible, travel with someone that knows the surroundings, because if you find yourself again alone in the wee hours of the morning in a secluded area, you might just be a prime target for an opportunistic criminal. So get to know your surroundings. So we just wanted to start with this safety tips to get things started.
All right, interesting, because we into the part where that's why I wanted to start us off, because it's a way of getting people's mind in tuned to what is going on, what is going to happen. We're not predicting anything. There's no way of making a prediction of that is going on, but just tune your mind to know that we into the festive season, and there are individuals who are not coming out to have a good time.
Exactly.
You understand? There are individuals who's coming out to see what prey they can find, and for their own personal benefits, and which you could deter that from. And you gave some examples of when you go to, especially with a female, like you say, you're not prey to them or whatever, but if you go, make sure you go out not by yourself. If you know where you live, it's a kind of deserted area. Make sure you may have someone who could take you home. And individuals who you surround yourself to should be trustworthy individuals. You understand? Because not all groups are trustworthy individuals being part of groups. So that's something you got to be part of, pay attention to. Because you could be part of a group, and the individuals in the group may have the wrong intentions, especially when it comes to the females. You understand? And it's just also complete safety of your personal belongings. What we could talk? What could we say about that? What kind of information you could show the individual, especially in terms of their personal belongings?
Okay. As I was saying earlier, again, when you're going to these shows, if there is no need to carry those belongings, secure them properly at home instead of coming to shows with them. And I also want to, maybe I should take the opportunity to speak to vehicle security.
Well, I was actually referring to that part of it, to the part of your vehicle and so forth.
So we advise that you park your vehicle in well-lit areas. And if you are going to a show where there is public parking provided, we'll advise that you use the public parking, because most time, if public parking is provided and it's paid, then more likely than not it will be secured by some security officer. So at least you know your vehicle is safer there, right? So and as I said, if you don't have need for what you're carrying in your vehicle, then you can leave it at home.
Yes.
Because as you said, Carnival is big business. And not just big business for law-abiding people, but for criminals. So you might be paying your money to go to Soca Monarch to have a good time, and guess what? Somebody might buy a ticket to go out there to steal from people.
Exactly.
They may actually purchase a ticket to go into the show, but not to have a good time.
To benefit off you.
To benefit off you, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we want you to bear that in mind, your personal safety.
All right. As we move along this morning, it's 12 minutes after the hour. We drew for our first break this morning. We're going to take it. We come back and we chit-chat some more. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point for today, Thursday, the 10th day of August. We're coming right back.
From Grenada Distillery.
This country so beautiful and peaceful. Let's keep it that way. Violence has no place in our society. For this carnival, let's keep it violence free because retirement age is 65. I want you to be alive so you could enjoy your retirement like me.
The biggest party in sport is back. CPL and WCPL return with more action than ever before.
Are you kidding me?
Watch the biggest names in cricket battle it out in the race for glory.
Brilliantly. Celebrate some more.
Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at the box office. Join the party. Experience cricket played louder.
Grenada's broadcast of Republic Bank CPL 2023 is made possible by Republic Bank. We're the one for you. The National Lotteries Authority, Grenlec, and Hard On Plus.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's to the point for today, Thursday, the 10th day of August. And with me this morning, we have the Central Division. We have Corporal, of course, Troy Paul with us, and also ASP Kenneth Bascombe with us this morning. I'm just I want to get a bit of conversation with Corporal, of course, Paul. We're going to refer to the traffic arrangement. This is a pivotal part for the upcoming events, especially the finals, where individuals should know where to park, where not to park, the particular routes that individuals should use attending the various events, and so let's get into that. I guess it should be a pretty lengthy route this time around compared to the other routes we had before. So let's get into, of course, explaining the routes to the individuals, so parking, no parking, etc., emergency routes. I guess all of that going to be entailed in what you'll be saying this morning.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
And I will start with traffic arrangement for all shows scheduled for the National Stadium.
Okay.
And we have a standard traffic arrangement once a show is scheduled for that area. And I will start with the following are designated no parking areas. So I will start with areas that persons should not park.
Okay.
The entire ring road around the National Stadium, the River Road from its junction with Lacwa Brothers Crematorium to Purcell Lumberyard, or what we call Keep Left, right up to Purcell. That's River Road side. Cherry Hill Public Road from Grenada Welders to its junction with Melville Street. Mm-hmm. Also, we have Melville Street from its junction with River Road to the National Lottery Office. The entire Cemetery Hill and Monkrush Public Road. So all these areas that I've mentioned, they are no parking areas. And when we say no parking areas, we mean that no person should park along those areas once a show is activated at the National Stadium.
How serious is of course, the traffic department taking that in terms of no parking?
Very serious, and I will get to that after.
All right.
Yes. So we told persons where they shouldn't park. So we have to tell you where you can park now, the designated parking areas for the shows at the National Stadium. The following areas are designated parking areas. So I'll start with VIPs and so forth for Governor General, Prime Ministers, Parliamentarian, etc. The parking area close to the VIP stand. So if you're coming from the Humbag Bridge area, that first left,
yes, in
that area would be for VIP, VVIPs, and those persons that I've mentioned, Governor General, Prime Minister, and whoever maybe promoters deem as their VIP. For invited guests, sponsors, the parking area close to the media pavilion, that is that you enter through gate 6.
Okay.
Persons might ask where gate 6 is. Just after, if you decide closer to Grenlec side,
yep,
then you enter the stadium there, the cricket stadium where they have the cricket nets.
Okay, that's gate 6.
So that's gate 6,
what
we refer to as gate 6. For general public, we have Wesley College grounds. We utilize that area as well. A portion of gate 6 and the concrete area at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium.
All right. Those
So
are
that
designated parking.
yes, for the season. We also have an emergency route for that area, and the emergency route will, from the National Stadium, you go up Cemetery Hill, you go down Church Street, straight to the General Hospital.
Okay.
Shortest way, you get to the hospital.
All right.
Yes, and we have mentioned earlier on in terms of how strict are we, and we'll definitely have our RECA system. Sorry, our RECA will be in full operation for all those events, and they will be patrolling the area, making sure the perimeter is free from persons parking in areas that they shouldn't park. And once persons park in those areas, they can be towed away. We also have clamps. They can be clamped and also towed away as well.
All right.
Because we don't want persons parking, or you can be ticketed for any breach in relation to no parking, etc. And once your vehicle has to be recovered, you have to pay a fee of $125 before getting that vehicle back. And once your vehicle is clamped or in the possession of the police, one should not tamper or interfere with it. If there is an immobilizing device, which refers to as a clamp, one can be arrested for tampering with an immobilizing device. So $125, you can recover your vehicle.
All right.
And in the process, the police would not be responsible for any damages once it is not willfully or negligently done in the operation.
All right.
So that is the operation in relation to shows at the National Stadium. But we also have events such as Juve, pageant, Monday Night Mass, Last Lap, etc. And we also have a traffic arrangement for that, because some will be starting in the area of Grand Dance and those areas, and persons normally have a hard time getting around through those areas. And we have road closures for the following roadways are hereby closed on the days and times specified for the undermentioned activities. And I start with Juve, Monday the 14th of August from 4 a.m. to 12 noon. And Kenneth James Boulevard, all these areas will be closed off to facilitate Juve.
Yes.
Kenneth James Boulevard, all adjoining roads from its junction with Belmont to the Allen Francis roundabout at Tropicana, continuing on to Port Highway to the roundabout at Buns Point. The entire portion of the road known as the Carnage, Young Street from its junction with the Carnage to the junction with Halifax Street, also Scott Street, H. Blaze Street, Tantin Public Road from its junction with Homemade Bakery, to its intersect to the junction of the Botanical Gardens roundabout. Okay. So all these areas, drivers would not be able to access it on the 14th for within the hours of 4 to 12. That is where we have Juve.
That's between 4 a.m. and 12 noon.
And 12 noon. Okay. So all these areas that I just mentioned, you would not be able to access during that time. We also have pageant, and which is also Monday as well, and pageant starts from 12 noon to 6 p.m. and the roads that will be closed for that, it will be Kenneth James Boulevard from its junction with Belmont to Allen Francis roundabout at Tropicana, continuing on to Port Highway roundabout at Buns Point, the entire portion of the Carnage, Young Street from its junction with the Carnage to its junction with Halifax Streets. We also have Scott Street, H. Blaze Street, Tantin Public Road with its junction from Homemade Bakery to its junction with Botanical Gardens roundabout. So that portion, so we see a difference
for the pageant also.
For the pageant as well.
All right.
And then we also have Monday Night Mass, and Monday Night Mass will be a little bit more lengthy than the Juve and the pageant, because the Monday Night Mass, which starts from 6 and supposed to end at midnight, but over the years we've seen that sometimes all 2 in the morning, and the first band haven't reached the Carnage as yet, so persons might expect a little delay if they're coming from those areas. And the Monday Night Mass starts at Grand Dance Public Road, from its intersection with Golf Course Public Road onto Kenneth James Boulevard, and it continues as all the other areas that I've mentioned previously as of Juve and Street Pageant. So the only thing with the Monday Night Mass, it starts at Grand Dance and it comes up onto that route.
All right. So we're saying, is it a portion of Grand Dance or the entire Grand Dance route?
Not the entire Grand Dance. As I stated, Grand Dance with the intersection of Golf Course.
From the Golf Course area, that's where it actually starts.
Yes.
Okay. And then it leads into, of course, Carnival, Tuesday, and so forth. There's any routes in terms of the regulations for parking and no parking and routes per se?
Yeah, so for Parade of the Band will be the same as Juve
and the Parade of the Band also. All right.
And also Last Lap. And in those areas, we must let persons know as well where they should and shouldn't park. So no parking, no waiting area. No vehicles are permitted to park or wait along the following roadways during the period specified below. Grand Dance Public Road from its intersection with Golf Course Public Road onto the intersection of Belmont Public Road and Kirani James Boulevard on Monday the 14th of August from 6 p.m. to midnight, and Tuesday the 15th from 12 noon to 12 midnight. Also Belmont Public Road from its junction with Kirani James Boulevard to Paddock Public Road onto the Botanical roundabout on Monday the 14th from 5 a.m. to 12 midday, and also on Tuesday the 15th from 12 p.m. to 12 midnight. We also have Lucas Street from the Governor General's roundabout to the junction with Church Street, and that is from Monday, August, from 5 a.m. to 12 midnight, and also Tuesday from 1 p.m. to 12 midnight.
Okay.
So that area, Lucas Street, roundabout, that entire Lucas Street area, Church Street, and these areas will also be no parking for both Monday and Tuesday. We also have H.A. Blaze Street from its junction with Scott Street to its junction with Tantin Public Road, and that is for Monday from 5 a.m. to midnight, and also from 1 to midnight on Tuesday. Okay. We have also Lotus Lane from its junction with Archibald Avenue to Tantin Roundabout, 5 a.m. to midnight on Monday, and 1 to midnight on Tuesday. The entire Hughes Street, August 14th, same as 5 a.m. and Tuesday from 1 a.m. to midnight. Church Street, Hospital Road from its junction with Cemetery Hill to the junction of Canashiel. We also have Ports Highway, Tantin Public Road from its junction with Botanical Garden roundabout to the junction of Buns Point roundabout. H.A. Blaze Street from its junction with Scott Street to its junction with Tantin Public Road. So all these areas that I've mentioned, persons would not be able to park in those areas, or even wait in those areas. So we also have allowed parking for the 14th and the 15th, and we have persons can park on Halifax Street on the right side only. Let me take that over. On Halifax Street on the right side only from its junction with St. John Street to the junction of Granby Street.
Okay.
We have Bruce Street on the right side only from its junction with Cross Street to the junction of Melville Street.
All right.
Grenville Street on the left side only from its junction with Gore Street to the junction of Hillsborough Street. Archibald Avenue to its junction of with Lotus Lane. Vehicular traffic. It said vehicles traveling to Springs. So that is where vehicles should pass if once those events are.
So it's like practically a load route for you.
Yes.
A load route.
So that's for Monday and Tuesday. Vehicles traveling to Springs or Grand Dance direction from the western side. You travel or Grande Tang or Tempe will use River Road, Marasil, Lotus Lane, and exit onto Paddock Main Road.
Okay.
Also, vehicles traveling from the western or Granitang direction from Grand Dance or Springs direction will use Belmont Public Road, Paddock, Lotus Lane, and exit onto Marasil.
Okay.
Vehicles proceeding towards the town of St. George's from the Governor General House roundabout should travel along Lucas Street.
Okay.
So all these areas, that will be the designated routes. If you're coming from the west, you're coming from Grandland's direction. And as we mentioned earlier on, all the places that persons shouldn't park. And if persons park in those areas we're seeing here, they will affect in terms of vehicles traveling freely along the route specified. And one-way traffic. The following are designated one-way traffic onto or out of the town of St. George's. St. John Street from its junction with Melville Street to its junction with Church Street. We also have Old Fort Road from its junction with Cemetery Hill to its junction with Lucas Street. Upper Church Street from its junction with Market Hill to the junction of Cemetery Hill. Lucas Street from its junction with Old Fort Road to its junction with Church Street and Market Hill. So all these areas will be one-way traffic.
Okay.
Yes. And we must give you an emergency route to get to the hospital as well from that area in terms of where the access route for Monday night mass and Juve and so forth. Yes, so the emergency route from the south to the town of St. George's. The following are established as emergency route for the town of St. George's. From the south of the town of St. George's to the General Hospital, Paddock Public Road, Louters Lane, Archibald Avenue, onto Lucas Street and Church Street, and onto the General Hospital.
Okay.
From the eastern side to the town, to the General Hospital, you use Lucas Street, Church Street, Granite Town Road onto the General Hospital. If you're coming from the north to the General Hospital, you have Cemetery Hill, Old Fort Road, Lucas Street, Church Street, Granite Town Road, and then you get to the hospital if you have an emergency.
All right. That's basically it for the routes you have spoken of, are basically for within the parish of St. George.
Yes, so that if you're coming from the east, west, or south, and you have to get to the General Hospital, these are the routes specified, which I've just explained that you can access, which you have we try to use the shortest route to get to here, because remember, you don't want to have an emergency route and it's longer than a normal route, and it makes no sense. Okay. So we try to make it as short as possible. So with any obstruction, that's why we don't want persons to be parking in those areas specified, because all those areas which we deem no parking, the emergency route is part of that as well. Okay. And also the regular route to get from the south of the island to wherever you want to go to your destination.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, I want us to get into the security arrangements that is of course available for the upcoming events. I guess we can have a chat about that when we come back. Hey folks, we take a break. We come right back. It's To The Point for today, Thursday the 10th of August. Stay with us, folks. We come in right back.
At the NIS, our team proudly works to support the evolving needs of Grenadians. We have made some changes to our operations and want to keep you informed. Firstly, we are happy to introduce the new unemployment benefit. This benefit will provide an insured person with 50% of his or her former income in the case of sudden unemployment. To support this benefit and other benefits we offer, it was necessary to increase the contribution rate. The contribution rate will increase gradually each year until it reaches 16% in 2031. As always, the contribution will be split between you and your employer. The pensionable age will also increase from 60 to 65 years. This increase will also be gradually reaching age 65 in 2029. Pensioners will continue to be eligible for a pension from age 60, but will receive a reduced payment. The NIS recognizes that the prices of basic customer goods are increasing globally. Therefore, we are happy to also increase the weekly minimum pension payment by 25%. Finally, we have adjusted our survivor's benefit payment to a percentage of the age pension minimum. Widows, widowers, and dependent parents will receive 100% or $58 weekly, while children will receive 50% or $29 weekly of the deceased's pension. We are here to make the transition to these new changes as clear and simple as possible. If you have any questions on how these changes impact you and your family, please please contact our new informational hotline at 440-6647 or visit www.nisgrenada.org. Thank you for allowing us to be your social security provider.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's to the point for today, Thursday, the 10th day of August. With me this morning, we do have representing the Central Division this morning, Traffic Department. We have Corporal Troy Paul, as usual. And with us this morning, ASP, of course, Kenneth Bascombe. I did mention, of course, when we come back from this, I want to get into the security arrangements. And I'm assuming ASP Bascombe will be the one talking a lot about the security aspect. Security aspect of the events that are coming up is very important in terms of how individuals should know their do's and don'ts, when events are taking place, things they should be doing and things they should not be doing. And it's always that constant reminder is always important, even though it's been spoken about, numerous times, but there's always that little time when you have to remind them just to get people in tune in terms of their behavior and the security aspects of things. So let's go over to, of course, SP Bascombe as he...
All right, certainly. And to start, maybe to put some context, I would like to say, as a country, Grenada, we pride ourselves on being one of the safest destinations in the world, right? And so it means if we boast to visitors that we are one of the safest countries in the world, then it must also be safe for locals and to enjoy festivities. So that being said, if you have been paying attention, you would notice that we were out in numbers for the season so far, right? And so we want to advise persons out there that expect to see a lot of police officers on the streets and at strategic locations, and not just for traffic purposes, but expect to encounter a number of stop and searches, and so with police officers, especially when those main shows are taking place, would stop, and engage you to ensure that nothing illegal and so is being carried into the venues, right? Excuse. And if you are a law-abiding person, it can seem as a bit of inconvenience, but we ask you to bear with us and see it as an added layer of protection for everyone. Because we don't want those kind of things getting into our venues, right? So expect the venues to be fortified. We'll be doing all that we have to ensure, as I say, that illegal firearms, knives, whatever offensive weapons that can be used to harm somebody don't get into our venue. So we'll be making thorough searches. Excuse. And while we're on that, let me make a plea. Because we have been noticing the fascination with the open flames in our shows, and so we are to advise persons that is unlawful, but is also dangerous. And the policy of the organization is that we have a zero tolerance approach to open flames in those shows. So expect that if you come and you use the open flames, you may more than likely be prosecuted at some point for it. Persons might be saying, well, it has been happening so far because they would have been seeing it in show. But bear in mind, the police, we can always go back and revisit. And what I would caution the persons using open flames also is that, so you are using the open flames, you are committing the offense, but you're basically preserving the evidence for law enforcement, and because it's all over social media. So if you, my friend, go into Soca Monarch and you're using open flame, and then it's all over social media, then the evidence is right there for the police to deal with you. So we caution against that. Open flame is a no-no. We also want to advise licensed firearm holders that you would not be allowed to enter any venue with your firearm. So we advise you to secure it before coming to the venues. I know some people who are coming with their vehicles might be tempted to secure it in your vehicle. We caution against that. Peradventure that your vehicle get broken into. So it means if I break into your vehicle as a criminal, and stealing. Among the things that are there for the taking might be a loaded firearm. So you actually inadvertently put in a loaded firearm into the hand of a criminal. So we advise against coming into the venue with them. If you think you may not be able to secure it at home, then you can always go to your nearest police station and we will secure it for you and you can collect it after the show is over. Okay. But don't come to the venue with it, we advise, because you would not be able to enter the venue with it. Okay. So those are just some of the measures we have in place. Right. But as we say, we are fortifying our venues and so, because we want at the end of the day, when the after action is being done as far as law enforcement is concerned, we can say in general, we had a very safe and secure carnival, and RGPF will be doing everything in its power to ensure that people enjoy their carnival in a very secure environment.
Exactly, and all has been said is for the general safety of individuals. Certainly. And make sure that the individual goes to the events and they leave, they come and leave, yes, without any injury or anything else to them. Another bit of I want to get into something to encourage individual in terms of the compliance part of things, because there's a lot of course, information that's been shared here this morning, and folks always want to get to the issue of non-complying. Mm-hmm. With a lot of things that have been said in terms of the success of the events, and just make sure for the incident free. Is there any information you want to share with individual on that level this morning?
Okay, with the compliance?
Yes, the compliance.
Well, certainly, because failure to comply with this advice can, for instance, lead to the interruption of shows and so. Mm-hmm. Because let us use an example of the open flames in a show. That is a very dangerous thing. Somebody's hair could catch a fire and things like that. And the consequence of that, of persons not adhering to that, may very well lead to the premature ending of a show. And you don't want a situation where you spend your money, come to have a good time, and because somebody decide that they are not going to comply with the law and the policy, then you have to go back home not fully enjoying your show, or God forbid, you come there, you obeying the law, you're doing all that you were asked to do, and somebody with an aerosol can with big gun or bop made a mistake and your whole face is on fire and you end up in the hospital, maybe having to do a major surgery. Yeah, so we caution against that.
Hair and stuff are inflammatory.
Exactly.
Someone here could catch a fire.
Certainly.
Your clothing and so forth.
Certainly.
Because from time to time, this is not the first time we've been thrown us a bit of information, and so they might still see the events taking place and individuals still not complying. Don't do these open flames, and they're still doing it. So certainly hope this time around that folks know that the police will be looking at that seriously this time around and make sure it just doesn't do that. Sometimes you wonder why is it still necessary for individuals going about doing it. You understand? So certainly hope they comply with all the rules and regulations and make Carnival 2023 a success.
Yes,
and incident free in terms of the overall outcome. So when a synopsis of it is done at the end of the season, we could say, well, compliance was you may not get 100%, but you would say what
90
is good enough. Let's make sure it's not under 50%.
Certainly.
Not under 50%.
Certainly.
Anything else from you, Corporal? Corporal, it comes up the traffic and then a bit of encouragement you want to throw, especially to road users this time around, in terms folks like to things that drinking and driving, speeding and all these things. There's always, you cannot stop advising folks not to do these things around this time of day.
Yes, well said. And I must start with as the ASP would have alluded to, the police officers will be out in their numbers. Not you'll see officer presence, mobile patrols. You'll see have day and night traffic checks, increased traffic checks, and persons will be expected to stop at time and present your driver's license for inspection to ensure that persons are not driving without driver's license, and make sure that persons' vehicles are insured to be on the road. And all offences. Traffic offences, make sure tires are properly checked and inspected before you're leaving home. But with that, the officers have to do what they have to do to ensure that the roads are safe. And there's a lot, especially into the carnival season, where we have the consumption of alcohol, and persons go to shows, they consume alcohol, and they go to drive after that. not knowing they may be over the limit, and we have a prescribed limit of 70 micrograms of alcohol in 100 milliliters of breath. As I said, one of the highest in the world. Most countries is 35. Grenada is 70, and we're still seeing persons are over the limit.
70.
Yes.
Wow.
And persons, once you're over the limit, you can and will be arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. But also we want to let persons know the dangers of driving under the influence of alcohol. You can be a victim of road fatality. You as a driver, even passengers in the vehicle or other persons using the road, you may be on your merry way going to or from using the road as a pedestrian or another driver. Also, fatigue driving is another issue. Persons coming out along extended shores and so forth, and you take the risk of driving, you're tired and so forth. Take a risk. Recuperate, drink water, whatever it is, recuperate, and then you continue on your journey. Most of the times we think that we can make it, and then one blink eye and you're gone. You end up being a precipice, you end up in somebody's property, and we're seeing the worst coming out road fatalities again. Persons using mobile devices while driving is a major distraction, and not just mobile device. Anything that distracts you from as a driver from having focus. Driving is requires a level of focus and attention, and you having to multitask while driving, it's too much. One persons can be distracted, as I said, lose control, but once persons driving under the influence, using mobile devices and so forth, these persons can be charged for the offense of using a mobile device and so forth while driving. It's also ticketable, and we have penalties. Persons can end up in prison if you're convicted by a magistrate for those offenses. So we must let persons know. And one of the main things, again, we're out there to make sure that there's a lot of unlicensed drivers driving, and they does not have a valid driver's license to drive in the state of Grenada, and they take those risks. And some of them, they take the risk in roads that police or people do not frequent, and especially at night. So we will be there, we will be out in every nook and cranny as much as possible to ensure that we prevent again those things that we mentioned, so that we can have a safe road for all road users. And we just want persons to be patient. If you come across a traffic check, sometimes persons may say the police again, they don't have nothing to do and so forth. We're saving your life, we're preserving your life. You may not see it, but we're preserving your life from these persons who does not have license, persons drinking and driving, person using mobile devices, and the list goes on in relation to those things that help us prevent accidents along the nation's road.
All right. We do have, of course, take this opportunity now in our final 15 minutes of the show this morning. Those of you listeners and viewers out there, if you do have a question or two you would like to ask, feel free to give us a call, 435-2041, 435-2041. Let's go to the phone line and entertain our first caller. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Good morning and good morning to you guys. Now, I didn't hear you all touch on the issue of the issuing of what you call these permit, liquor permit or whatever, for some people who want to have a host, whatever it is, those temporary stuff. Now, I have a problem. I have a business place, permanent position. My liquor license, I could give you the number, but I won't give it on air. And I having a problem with sometime when the police patrol, they're telling me I have to close 9 o'clock. And I'm seeing places, these shows going on, alcohol selling all over in the morning. The police ain't telling them nothing. They give them permission to operate on these grounds. And I have a permanent business. I have to close 9 o'clock. I mean, it's unfair. You go Wall Street all over in the morning, liquor selling on the side, down there. I don't understand what's going on. I find it's unfair to me. So I just would like a little light to be shed on the issue, please. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution. Anyone want to respond to the caller this morning?
Yes, certainly. And the caller is right, because I also have noted here liquor license and illegal vending. Yes, the caller nailed it. To operate at those venues, if you are a vendor and you're selling alcoholic drinks, beverages, and so, you must have what is known as a temporary or occasional license. So you must apply to the district in advance of that activity and secure that temporary license to be able to permit. And we again have a zero tolerance policy towards that. So absolutely no illegal vending. So yes, but to say to the caller, we do check, right? And once you're out there and you're vending and so, you have to have that temporary liquor license to be able to sell. And I don't know if the caller was aware, because he mentioned Wall Street, but for that last show on Beach Fest, and so if he was around, he would have noticed the police. We were out there engaging the persons that were selling on Wall Street, those that were selling alcohol and so on, making sure that they had the necessary license to be selling there. So we are doing that. We are enforcing the law. Right. Specific to his request, I would ask that maybe he contact us at Central Police Station, because I don't have all the specifics about his particular issue. Right. But certainly, once we get more information, then we look into his issue and address it accordingly.
All right. I think he was more specifically speaking in terms of the cutoff time. Okay, yes. He was saying that he has to stop at 9, and there were individuals who were allowed to go beyond that time. So maybe there's more information you could also get in contact with you and share that.
Yes.
I have a question here from someone via the Facebook page, and they're saying they're referencing in the U.S. the emergency services, police, and firefighters are all tied together for emergency response. For example, if you call, you will in all three they respond. And listen to the question. Let me just go to the questions. One, he's saying, can we tell me if they will be part of the system for the season going forward in terms of the emergency response and so forth? That's question one. Question two, do you think that parking should be at the stadium or for the 2 days of Carnival? They're also asking a question about that also. And there would there be an experienced supervisor with the wardens who are the rookies and need the guidance in terms of handling huge crowds? That's the 3 questions. I'm not sure which one of you would like to answer those questions.
Okay, well, certainly Paul will deal with the traffic one. As far as the emergency response is concerned, so let me say to the viewer, you may not necessarily see all 3 together, but we do work together. We must also bear in mind that fire is also a department of the RGPF. So once we have those activities taking place, fire is always on high alert, for those emergency responses and so. So it may not be identical to how the caller is referencing in the United States, but certainly it is akin to it. Okay. So even though you don't see them always together, but we always have this coordinated response from the different departments to emergencies.
All right. The traffic part, Corporal, would you want to respond to that?
The last 2 questions was traffic related, and yes. The first one is can persons park at the National Stadium for Carnival Monday and Tuesday? Yes, persons can park in those areas, but the problem is that a lot of persons do not want to park and walk, so they avoid using those avenues where they can park to have easy access parking, but they rather come in the areas where it is deemed no parking to try to squeeze a park, or areas where there's narrow roads and all these things and so forth. But yes, you can park at the National Stadium and make your way across, where it will be a lot easier having to avoid congestion if you have to get out once everybody is getting out at the same time.
All right.
And the other question is in relation to having supervisors for the wardens in relation to managing traffic and so forth. They are always supervised, and they should always be supervised, I should say that. And in relation to executing our traffic plan and making sure that everything is accomplished to the T. And because at the end of the day, one failure leads to the entire traffic plan or entire mission for the RGPF in failure. So definitely we will have supervisors, experienced supervisors, supervising those wardens, and they're not rookie. A lot of them are experienced, I must say.
Some of them been doing it for a wee bit, so they should get a hang of it.
I supervise some of them, and a lot of them are experienced, and they do a very good job in executing our traffic plan for the Carnival plan and just in general executing traffic plans.
All right.
And if I could just add some context to what Corporal Paul said, we want the viewer to understand that for this operation, this major operation, we operate with a command structure.
Okay.
Right, and the goal commander is normally an assistant commissioner of police. So we have layers. So you would have an assistant commissioner of police right at the top. Then you would have a superintendent of police, assistant superintendents, and a number of inspectors. So we have a layered approach. So you may not see all of them out there, right? Because we have what is known as a command center. So it is layered, right? So information and instructions is filtered up and down, right? So the supervision goes at the highest level of the organization because we take those operations very seriously.
So basically, an individual officer who is at a particular area, he may not be the one actually making the decision
based on what is happening. Yes.
Okay, right. And we have a viewer stating here, and of course they're referring to the instruction for the traffic, and maybe Corporal could leave the information to me, and I could probably distribute it as the morning goes, because they asking, if they thought it was a lot to them to absorb.
Yes, it definitely is a lot.
It was a lot for them to absorb one time, so maybe you can leave it and we could of course repeat it again.
Also, we can ask CRD Community Relations Department to send out a broadcast via social medias and the different media platforms, so that persons can adhere to the traffic arrangement and know what they shouldn't do, where they shouldn't park to get around for the Carnival season.
All right, because we understand that the traffic arrangement is not a first time. I mean, if folks been attending Carnival, especially within the town of St. George's, the parish of St. George's, they would understand these arrangements is not a first time issue with it. It's been there for a while, but always that refreshing of their minds every time it comes around.
Sometimes they may forget, but it is our responsibility to continuously remind them.
All right. I guess this other question is actually seeking the same thing. Somewhere these parking areas are listed. They want to know where the parking areas are listed. But I guess we did give that. But I guess I could, as you said, leave the list so we could get a copy of the list and have it repeated again as the day goes by. Individual try to get their minds accustomed to the day parking and no parking and so forth.
Most definitely.
All right. Let me take another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome. Good morning to you, caller.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Go right ahead with your contribution, please.
I just want to find out something. Tell me something. If you're custom parking in front of Mr. Griffith, is any problem parking there? That's right in Mr. Brisket for the opposite Bowser.
Okay, caller, thank you. Well, I think he's talking about parking that's on the Melbourne Street area there, opposite the service station. He said these are custom parking there. But on your list, I don't think that was deemed a no parking area this time around.
Yes, so in relation to for the events at the National Stadium, that will be part of the no parking areas.
No parking area.
But however, for Carnival Monday and Tuesday, he can go ahead and park in that area.
Okay.
Because the route is more on the other side of the town. Okay.
I guess that's understandable. I mean, for the events that will be taking place at the National Stadium, in order to keep that route cleared, there's no parking permitted there. You just use the designated parking.
Yes,
All right. Well, we just have a few more minutes left on today's program. Let's entertain another caller, 435-2041. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning. I'm just thinking, now you have a lot of visitors coming in for the festival. There are many among them who might be hiring vehicles, self-drive vehicles. Now, I'm wondering what would be their position, because they may not be acquainted with the streets and the different routes that are restricted. So what would happen in a case like this? Give us some light on that for the sake of those who are coming in and will be self-driving. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Yes, so most of our foreigners or persons coming from abroad, but they're not from here, they first must obtain a temporary license to drive on our roads in Grenada. And when they do come for the temporary license, we advise them of the do's and don'ts. And especially for this period, we try our best to inform them as to if they have to traverse around the Carnival season, of some of the things highlighted here that we disseminated this morning, so that they will be up to date with those information. I know sometimes they may not remember streets and so forth, but what we also do is advise them that once they see officers on the street, that they can ask for assistance, and we'll definitely provide that assistance to them so that they can know exactly what they should and shouldn't do.
All right. As I mentioned, I'm not sure if we don't have another caller coming in pretty soon. We look for some closing comments and maybe some last bit of advice that you want to give out. But let's entertain this caller first. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning to you and to the officers present. Let me first of all commend the Royal Grenada Police Force for the preemptive action and they have taken in terms of warnings and all the other programs they've been having, and I think it's having an effect, especially in terms of that spurt we saw in criminal activity, and I think everyone coming together as a country and speaking in one voice, I think it has helped, and I want to commend you for all the things that you're putting in place. One suggestion I have, and it has to do with the last caller. Because of our narrow streets and the absence of parking, some parking areas are very far from events. Have you thought of the idea of having a shuttle system so that people can park further away and have a service that can take them? Because people want to get there. They just want to be able to get there. So if you give permission for a limited number of shuttle buses to move from parking areas onto the venue, I think this will help a lot, and it will limit that tendency and that temptation to try to get closer and closer to a venue. Have you ever, it's something probably for the private sector to think about, but it has to be authorized by you. So instead of having 5,000 vehicles trying to get there, you may have 5 shuttle buses that can take persons from further away onto the venue. Have you thought of something like that? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution. Any response to the caller?
Well, certainly, matter of fact, this is something we always suggest to event promoters that you consider shuttling. Yes, the caller is right. We always recommend that. But I think part of the issue too, as Paul spoke about, some people do want to be as close to the venue as possible, but we are with the caller on that. We always recommend using a shuttle system because it will ease up a lot of the headache. So caller, you are right, and it's something we always recommend to event promoters.
All right. Well, I guess he probably thinking maybe as a police you could have probably implemented, but it may not be in your powers to implement.
And we depend on private because our transportation system in Grenada is largely private, so we depend on them to
public and the private companies to take it upon take up the initiative to do so. All right. We just have about 30 seconds left on the show this morning. Any closing comments from both of you?
I would just want to advise persons in closing that to exercise restraint. This is Carnival. When you have alcohol, 13 and so in the mix, there is always the increased possibility for confrontation. So somebody might spill a drink on you, somebody might mash you, as they say, and let us use the colloquial language. Some people like to be wrong and strong. So advise persons, even if you are in the right, walk away, report it to the police, and let the matter be dealt with after. So exercise restraint for Carnival 2023. Thank you.
Yes, and I will also employ on all drivers. Safe driving is always, we want you to get to and from your destination safely. So if you, as we always say, if you intend to drink, don't drive. You have a designated driver. use of distraction while driving, and fatigue driving. Take rest and recuperate before driving. Make sure that your vehicle, you inspect it before leaving home. Make sure that your tires are not defective. Make sure that your lights are working properly, especially if you have to drive at night. So all in all, we want to improve safe driving for the Carnival season. We do not want anyone to be statistics after that, because there is life after the Carnival period. As the song says, when the Carnival over, we'll definitely want to have a brighter day.
All right.
And as we said, tourism, traffic, as they will say, tourism is everybody's business. Traffic as well is everybody's business. And definitely let us all do our part to make our roads safe for all road users.
All right. I want to say thank you both officers this morning for, of course, the information shared. I certainly hope our listeners and viewers are here to the rules and regulations and the security advice and so forth that was given out, and just have a successful and incident-free Carnival 2023. I'm assuming next time I'll be speaking to any one of you will be a latter part of the month or into next month, more or less. Anyway, thank you once again. This is where we take a wrap for To The Point for today. I want to thank our listeners and viewers once again, those who participated, those who called in, those who shared their comments via our social media platforms. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great day. Be good to yourself and others. That's what we say goodbye for today. Goodbye, folks.